Thank you for joining us for this episode of Liberation Hour Radio. I'm Jen, and tonight we are speaking with Nick Schafer, an online fitness and nutrition coach, an award-winning filmmaker and photographer, and an animal rights activist. Nick was a self-proclaimed junk food vegan who was facing deteriorating health and simultaneously preaching that humans can be fit, healthy, and gain muscle without animal products. Nick recognized that his message and lifestyle were not consistent, so he began his fitness journey. He also switched from vegan activism to animal rights activism, taking his film and photography experience to become an undercover investigator, exposing the horrors of animal agriculture. Nick has documented animals within factory farms, slaughterhouses, open rescues, vigils, and mass-scale lockdowns. Along with his undercover work, Nick offers plant-based meal plans and workout guides to not only help others reach their fitness goals, but also share the message of animal liberation. Thank you so much for being with us, Nick.
Yeah, no problem. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your fitness journey and how it's evolved.
So my fitness journey I've been on it for quite a while, kind of on and off for quite some time now. So before I was vegan, I was going to the gym probably 5 days a week, also training, doing jujitsu and Muay Thai as well, and eating the typical fitness diet, I guess you could say. I was at the time all about the Atkins thing, so it was low carb, high protein. I guess if I didn't find veganism, I'd probably be that keto guy now. So that was kind of the beginnings of my fitness journey back then. I was, like I said, eating the typical fitness diet. I was having bacon and egg sandwiches for breakfast, and cheese, obviously, and then 2 chicken breasts and almonds for lunch, and then 2 steaks for dinner with maybe a potato, but probably not because carbs were the enemy. So I was eating what I thought was a healthy lifestyle back then, and I was in shape. I wasn't as big or strong as I am now, which was a huge eye-opener after going vegan. But so yeah, so that was my journey beforehand, and then I went vegan, and I found this wonderful world of vegan junk food and processed foods and all of the foods that really do taste amazing but aren't the greatest for our health. And I latched onto that and just ate like that for a few months. And at the same time, like you said, the intro there was preaching, you can be healthy and strong and fit and, you know, all these things on a vegan diet while I was in the background eating chips and vegan cheeses and Oreos and just all the crap that I could find. And I gained a ton of weight. I wasn't happy with my body anymore. I remember driving to work one day and the seatbelt went across and my fat folded over the seatbelt, and it was just super uncomfortable being in the clothes and just living like that. And I decided, like, you know what, I'm preaching all of this stuff on Instagram and social media, and I need to align my actions to what I'm preaching and actually prove to people that you can do it instead of just telling people you can do it. So that's kind of when my vegan fitness journey began. That was a few years ago now. And yeah, since that day, like, it had probably been a year since I had touched the gym at that point. So I had no muscle mass anymore. I was way overweight. I was super lethargic, super tired. Every day at 1 or 2 o'clock while I was at work, I'd fall asleep at my desk. And it just wasn't the life I wanted to be living anymore. So like I said, I decided one day I woke up and I was like, enough's enough. Time to get a gym membership. I went in, got a gym membership, felt super awkward going in there because I know I used to be strong. And then I walked in there just totally from square one again. And I just built up from there to now. And yeah, just learning basically a whole new way of eating and nutrition, knowing that carbs aren't the enemy. Carbs are now my main source for building muscle. Protein isn't as important as I thought it was. Like, I was back then, I was eating 2 grams per 1 pound of body weight. So I was eating like 300 or so grams of protein a day. And I thought you needed to do that in order to build muscle. But really, you need 0.8 grams. You need a bunch of carbs. Limit your fat if you're trying to lose weight. And I mean, it's as simple as that. And it was just a big eye-opener figuring out, you know, you can eat all these carbs, you can eat all this food, you can eat all day if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet and still lose the weight, gain the muscle. And like asparagus, that just hit the market a year ago for me. All of these vegetables and things, I grew up absolutely hating vegetables. Like, my parents would suffer trying to get me to eat vegetables, and now, like, I'm blown away at how good they taste. So it's just cool being able to, like, learn how to eat healthy, learn how to cook healthy food, and then apply that to fitness as well, and then learn that all of that stuff is really fueling my body, as opposed to cutting it all out of my diet and eating nothing but meat. And that's just not the way to do anything.
Wow, that's awesome. Quite the evolution. And what inspired you to, like, obviously you felt that need to take charge of your own health, but what inspired you to, like, start feeding that to other people and coaching?
Yeah, so basically through that journey, there was a lot of hiccups that I went through, just learning what to eat, what not to eat, how to combine proteins, how to combine, how to count my fats, carbs, and proteins into a proper diet with a vegan diet, because it is a little harder on a vegan diet if you don't know what you're doing. Like, keeping my fats down, for example, it's a lot harder on a vegan diet when a block of tofu has 36 grams of fat in it. So it's just about learning how to do those things. And I wanted to be able to give people kind of like a crash course to get from step A to Z without having to make all of those mistakes and figure all the things out that I had to figure out. Just, being able to give people that it's worth its weight in gold, I think. And if I had a vegan fitness coach to take me through all of that when I started out, I think it would have been a lot quicker of a process, a lot easier of a process. And like, if I didn't have the desire and like the connection to the animals side of things, it would have been a lot harder. And there's a lot of people out there that do want to try a vegan diet, and they want to try getting in shape and, vegan fitness, but they don't have that connection to the animals. So when it gets difficult and it gets hard for them, it's so easy for them to just fall back and say, well, I can just have steak for dinner, or I can just have milk because milk has protein, calcium, or some stupid shit like that. But so yeah, like I said, I wanted to just make it an easy, streamlined process for people who are vegan or people who are thinking about going vegan and want to try this route out. That's just super easy.
You have non-vegan clients then, and is that hard to kind of get them to connect with the animal side of things, or do you stay away from that, or how do you deal with that?
So I stay away from directly talking about it to them. So I don't take on clients unless they are 100% dedicated to their goals and 100% dedicated to this lifestyle for at least the 12 weeks. So if you want to come to my program and you're not vegan, but you're willing to, be vegan for the 12 weeks, then by all means, I'm happy to take you if you're dedicated to that. And all you have to do is follow along with the program. I mean, it's so easily laid out that it's just recipe after recipe. You just got to cook what I lay out, and you don't even have to think about it. So it's easy for a non-vegan person to come onto the program, but I like to incorporate animal rights activism into it, of course, but I don't want to directly talk to them about it. So basically, I'm on social media all the time. I'm on Instagram all the time. They're always on my social media, always on my Instagram. So instead of having just a dedicated fitness Instagram, a lot of times I like to interject a lot of animal rights activism stuff in there as well. So I like to do stories about it or make posts about it. So when they're looking through my feed, they're looking at the fitness stuff, but they're also getting subjected to the animal rights stuff as well. So it's kind of a nice way of just kind of sneaking in the activism without being totally direct, especially when they're not vegan in the first place and they think veganism is just a diet, when we all know that that's completely untrue. So that's how I like to do that as well. So once they're done the 12-week program and they go back to, hopefully not, but if they go back to eating how they want, what they used to eat, they might think twice about it. And they'd say, hey, like, it was so easy and it was delicious eating this diet that I had on the program. Maybe I'll have this steak, but then I remember that post that was on Nick's profile, and then they start thinking about it, and maybe that'll stray them away from it, and maybe just dig a little bit deeper into, the full picture of veganism as opposed to just eating plant-based food.
That's definitely a strategic way to go about it, and I think that when you lay it out so simply for people with the meal plans and all that, they're more inclined to, and then you plant those little animal rights seeds.
Like food and health and meals as kind of just like an intro step into veganism, because that's what people think it is right now, and it's gotten so skewed throughout the last couple of years of what veganism really is, that if I can just hook you with delicious tasting food and then bring you into everything else, that's a win for me.
Definitely. So, why did you decide to switch from vegan activism to animal rights activism, and how would you separate those two?
So how it switched, I don't really have like a switching defining moment, but it was more so just coming to the realization that what I want isn't simply vegan options at fast food restaurants or vegan options at different restaurants, or to tell people, hey, you should go vegan because it's healthy. What I want is animal liberation and animals to have rights. So is adding a vegan option to A&W doing anything for the rights of animals, or is it just allowing them to be eaten next to vegan food? Just for example, like when Burger King introduced the Impossible Burger, like sure, the Impossible Burger sold really well, but their meat sales went up like crazy too, because they're bringing in all their family, like these people that wouldn't usually go say, hey, I want to go try this vegan burger. Now they're bringing in all of their friends who are going to come in with them, and they're probably not going to order it. That's not to say that I don't like that. I'm all for supporting the restaurants that do put that in, because without supply and demand, they're not going to see, a demand for it. And it's handy for my people, like my clients too, because I had a client that was traveling the other day, and they went to A&W with their non-vegan partner, and she actually chose to get the Beyond Burger as well. So I mean, it is good, but I don't think it's doing anything for animal rights. And if I'm spending my time doing activism, I want it to be really, really impactful. So when I look at things like cubes and, outreach, I do think that they're good and they do have their place. But if I also look at things like civil disobedience and mass actions and undercover investigations, I find that to be a lot more impactful, and just a lot better use of my time, I think. It also just, I feel like when we're doing like popcorn vegan activism, where we're just, outreach or telling people to go vegan, you also don't have a way to really measure your success in that. You don't know if all of those people are going to go home and go vegan, or all of them are going to go home and just disregard the whole conversation that you had. Where when something like, civil disobedience or mass actions or things like that, like MTV, there's still news coverage on that. Like a couple articles just came out the other day, so it's still being put into the public's eye, and not just like the eye we have on social media. Because when we share things on social media, it's basically reaching activists and vegans. I mean, it's basically reaching the people that follow us already. But if something reaches the mainstream news or the court system or the political system, that's reaching a whole other audience that we really wouldn't reach in the first place. So, yeah, I mean, and I think it's also a case of individual change over system change, right? I think really what we need is system change. We have 8 billion people on this planet right now. It's going to take more than all of our lifetimes to change all 8 billion people by asking them to go vegan with a sign or some footage. But if we can somehow get into the political and the court system and implement system change, that's going to force people to make the change themselves. Like if we could just somehow get rid of subsidies for animal agriculture, the entire system would crumble. So
Definitely. And yeah, I admire all the work that you've done in terms of that stuff. I think that direct action is essential. We have to stop normalizing this. We need to actively stand against it. So you've done amazing work.
Undercover investigations, people would never know what's going on inside of these facilities, right? I mean, and even things like outreach or cubes, they wouldn't have the footage to show without people doing civil disobedience and undercover investigations and things like that. So, I mean, it all kind of works together, but that's why I think it's just so important.
Yeah, definitely. And with any social justice issue, it's always civil disobedience that makes the change. So I think that with this on topic, this is a good segue for us to play that Meet the Victims video. So we'll just take a short break here, and you guys can enjoy this video.
65 animal rights activists run towards a pig farm and illegally enter a barn.
The earth hungers for blood.
Activists turned up at a hog farm today in BC's Fraser Valley.
Here's something you don't see often in farm country.
Dozens occupied a barn until police intervened.
But ultimately, we have to recognize that an individual who's losing their lives, an individual that wants to live, and is this something that you accept? Is this something you support?
Can we go outside and talk?
No, they're willing to leave,
Yeah.
but there will be negotiations before we're willing to do that.
Right.
This is a revolution.
So you want them to authorize media to come look at pigs before you will leave?
In time to carve our names with fire.
We are here to document and expose the realities of factory farming here in Canada. We are here for the victims because we believe that what is happening here is unjust, and we are here to challenge the legal and political systems.
With everything on the line.
A large crowd of supporters gathered at the farm, highlighting the culture clash behind all of this.
Is it just about making sure animals are abused as least amount as possible on factory farms, or is it making sure that we're moving towards getting rid of factory farms? And that's what we really need to happen, otherwise we're going to continue to have a conflict of interest in those protecting animals and those abusing animals.
Oh God, she got me.
These people leave.
When you look at these animals, the darkness just like kills your bones. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming being here, to say the least.
CTV's BC Bureau Chief Melanie Nagy was at today's protest, and we warn you, the images are very graphic.
This is a revolution.
These are the most vulnerable individuals in our society. Are we not strong enough to give compassion?
Okay, so this is Ray, and he's one of the barn managers. We may find agreement with respect to bringing media.
So why not have everyone leave the barn so that we can do our job as best we can?
Okay, but you can still assess the animals without us all leaving, because I did not see that happen.
Is there a problem if some of them hang out here? But some people bring them right in, people there, and we can all congregate right here.
That's a good compromise in the first instance. You're all currently being placed under arrest. You're going to provide your identity to us. You will be released from custody. You'll be free to leave. Does everybody understand?
Yeah.
Is everyone good to do that?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Okay, so what's going to happen is we're taking Amy into custody.
I wanted for so long to believe that this wasn't real, and even in there seeing it, I wanted to believe it wasn't real. The truth of the matter is it's real. That's the truth. Experiencing their pain for just 5 seconds, just empathizing for 5 seconds hurts so bad. But just imagine their entire life is that. That's their whole life.
Welcome back to Liberation Hour Radio. I'm Jen, and I'm speaking with Nick Schafer. We just watched the Meet the Victims video that he filmed and edited here. And Nick, I would just love if you would tell us a little bit more about that day and how it impacted you.
That was probably one of the craziest, most intense days of my entire life. It was definitely, like, I don't think I've ever felt that way on a day, a full day, my entire life. I mean, starting at like 4 o'clock in the morning when we got the buses to pick all the people up, and then like driving to the farm. Like I can't even describe what that feeling was like. Just knowing what we were about to not only get ourselves but like all of these other activists into. There was a lot of pressure, a lot of like fear, but then a lot of just the sense of like I have a job to do, and that's kind of how it is with all of my undercover work, all of my work that I do at filming actions and slaughterhouses and things like that. Is I kind of just go into like film mode and like just camera mode. Camera's always been kind of my safe space. I've been behind the camera for, oh God, like 15 years now. So it's a lot more comfortable for me to just be behind a camera looking through something, and I just need to focus on the job that I have at hand. So the buses pulled up. We all charged out of the buses. The farmers had gotten pre-word that we were coming, so they had blocked the entrance. There was a big driveway that we were going to drive the buses up, but they blocked that driveway with a forklift or a cat. I think it was a cat. So we pulled up, and that was there. So we all hopped out of the bus there, and we had to run probably 150 to 200 feet down that driveway into the farm. And once we got in there, we were greeted with 2 or 3 large garbage bins completely full of dead pigs. Like they looked like they were just bloody, bruised, and it was just awful. And I mean, I've seen things like that. I've filmed things like that, but I know a lot of the activists that were there that day had never seen something like that, aside from on Dominion or Earthlings or something like that. And experiencing it in real life and watching it on TV is 2 completely different things. I mean, you can't even describe it. So we walked in there. The doors were locked, so I ended up, finding a door that was unlocked, or somebody found a door. I wouldn't have been me because I was filming. But yeah, somebody found a door that was unlocked, and we all just piled in through that door until the farmers came barreling down in between 2 barns on their trucks, and they screeched to a halt. And I mean, it's all in the video you've seen, but yeah, just walking inside of that farm and filming everything that was going on, the pigs that were just dying to get out of those cages, smacking their heads back and forth. Just, I mean, they're such smart animals, and like all they have to do is stare at 2 metal bars and a cement wall, and that they've got all of these natural instincts that they want to be doing. They want to be rolling in the mud, they want to be digging in the dirt, they want to be, they're very social animals, and just seeing them confined like that, and just seeing the fear and the sadness in their eyes. Their eyes are so human-like. It's just crazy. But yeah, for me, that day was, I'll never forget that day for sure. But yeah, like I said, when I go into a situation like that, I am just in work mode, and I kind of just, I black out, I film what's in front of me, and I film what needs to be filmed, and then I kind of process it once I get home. And I remember coming home and watching all that footage, and I literally like cried for like an hour just watching all of that footage. It's unreal. Actually, just thinking about it.
Sorry you had to witness all that, but it had an impact.
Since like a year or so ago.
Yeah, I know. It's one thing to have to be there, and like you said, it's a lot different than when you see it on a video screen.
Yeah, totally.
And then when you go back and you edit it all through, and you have to relive it.
Focus on like what the best shots are, and it's just really weird to think about. But yeah, that's why I also think it's so important for people to go do things like that, because you get a lot of people saying like, oh, I've seen that before, like I don't need to see that, like I don't need to see it, I've seen it on Dominion or Earthlings. But like until you get there and experience it, like you'll never know what it's like until you see it in person. And I think if more vegans did that, or more people did that, I think we would have a lot more people really having a deep connection to what's going on in the industries, and really a passion to change it.
Definitely. Like I always say that it's important that everyone sees that kind of thing, not just non-vegans, vegans too, because we live in a society where this is normalized. So sometimes we fall into the programming again, and we can just forget to stand for those victims. And just seeing it again, it definitely drives me it's what keeps me going for sure.
Go see it in person. Like,
yeah.
There's thinking that, it's cherry-picked footage, or it's just, that's a one-off farm. Like, that farm was literally owned by one of the board members of the BC Pork Producers Association. So that is the best of the best. So if you think it gets any better than that farm, then you're sadly mistaken. I mean, everything out there could be 100 times worse than that farm. People have this vision of a farmer walking around with a wicker basket picking up eggs with a red barn in the background, and that's what a farm looks like. But that farm we were at is a family-run farm here in BC, local family-run farm, and that's what they look like. I'm sorry, but we don't have enough land on this planet to farm animals like we did 100 years ago to feed the population. Like, if we're farming animals, it's being done in a terrible, terrible way, in confinement. Like, those pigs have never seen the light of day. They're inside cement walls their entire lives. I mean, that's how it's done.
Yeah, it's awful, and it is standard, and more people need to become aware of that. So I admire that work so much, and thank you for being there on that day. I know that you've done lots of other photography and filmography work in regards to similar campaigns, lockdowns, vigils, etc. What inspired you to start that kind of activism?
So I guess we can all guess who first inspired me to do that, and Amy obviously was the first one to get involved in doing that. And yeah, after, like, we were watching all the people on social media, Leah and Joanne, all the other people out there doing these undercover investigations and work like that, and just really normalizing it and not hiding your face behind masks and like ALF style, right? I think if we look at ALF, that doesn't seem very attainable for the normal person to do, right? I mean, it looks scary, it looks intimidating. If the police were to see them, I mean, you're going to jail. It just doesn't look very attainable for a normal person. But then you look at these people like DXC and people doing open rescues where you're just walking in, plain, biosuits, but no masks, walking out, you're not covering your face, you're really normalizing the fact that if you're just a normal person, you can go do this. And I think that was really inspiring. And then we decided, hey, let's go try it. And we were able to do it. And then I got the footage. And then I remember thinking, like, I wanted to watch some of the like action footage, so like DXC actions and Meet the Victim actions and all of like other civil disobedience actions. And I noticed there was a lot of like cell phone footage, cell phone photos, people just holding their cell phones up, and there wasn't really like a professionalism to the film and photography like there is in Dominion and Land of Hope and Glory and things like that. Like, that's really professionally done, but like grassroots activism, actions, and civil disobedience, there wasn't really a lot of that happening. So I figured, hey, I've got this huge background in film and photography. I've got a passion for animal rights. Why am I not applying my skills to make a change? And Amy's out there. She's got great talking skills. She's got great interview skills. She's got great planning skills. Like, she does all of that stuff. And I really wanted to find my place in the animal rights movement, and I think I found that with film and photography. That would be my place, is just getting professional film quality, professional photo quality, and then creating, like, I like to describe my films as you're kind of watching a memory. So I want you to be able to really relive that day as if you were there, and if you were there, I want you to feel everything that you felt that same day. So if I'm able to portray the real raw emotions and feelings of what was happening that day, I think that's worth a ton when somebody else watches that, and they can be affected a lot more than they would be if it was just somebody filming with their cell phone, right? Like, all of the sounds, like the sound design, the color grading, like the film work, just everything that I put into my other films, I just really wanted to put into these films as well, so I can really get the message across that what we're doing to animals is terrible, and this is what's going on, and this is the truth. And listen, like,
yeah,
that's kind of what inspired me to do it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for all your work with that. I'm sure that it has changed a lot of people, and at the very least planted many, many seeds. So that's
things like that. I think actions like that are important too, because like you said, it does change a lot of people when they watch something like that. I mean, we were just talking about this, like Amy's mom, we were trying to get her to go vegan for years, and all we were doing was sending her articles, sending her pictures, sending her videos, sending her recipes, telling her how good veganism is, blah, blah, blah. And then Meet the Victims happened, and she saw what was really happening. She saw the activists' passion for what was going on and their passion for wanting to change it. And just like that, she's vegan now. She's been vegan ever since. And I think that really helps too, is just seeing the activists and like how much people really care about making this change. I think that affects people a lot too. And I don't think we think about that enough. Like showing people our passion and like the fact that we're willing to risk our freedoms, our life, you know, for these animals, like that just gets people to look at it and be like, hey, like, why are these activists willing to do that? You know, and then maybe they'll dig a little bit deeper into what's going on and find out why.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I went vegan. Earthly Ned video of him on a dairy farm, and I was like, that's enough. I'm vegan now. So I think there's something inspiring about that, and when people can just connect to the animals like that, even just seeing that footage of an animal, it's not the same if you don't hear that person talking about it, or if you don't see the look on their face. Like it just reconfirms the feeling you already have in your heart. So definitely important stuff there. What would you say to someone who's vegan, but they're hesitant to get involved in activism?
What's holding you back? Like, are you okay with the abuse of these animals? Are you okay with, you know, the climate crisis that we're in? Are you okay with the pandemic we're in? Are you okay with the global health crisis of like heart disease and diabetes and stroke and all these other things? All of these things that are contributing to animal agriculture. Are you okay with that? And if you're not okay with that, why aren't you doing anything to help change it? I mean, there's that saying, he who knows of oppression but does nothing sides on the side of the oppressor. So, like, if you know what's going on, if you want to change what's going on, then get up and change it. I mean, eating a vegan meal isn't doing anything to help the rights of these animals and the confinement of these animals. Sure, I mean, you're not supporting it, but you're really not doing anything to bring a public awareness to what is happening. And I don't know, maybe you're socially awkward. I'm socially awkward in situations. I mean, maybe you don't fare well in big crowds, or you're scared of what people might think of you, or you're scared people are going to make fun of you because you're an activist, but you went through all of that when you went vegan anyway. I mean, you got through it. I got tons of people making fun of me for going vegan. And I mean, at the end of the day, what matters more, like standing up for what you really believe in, or what someone on Facebook thinks about you doing activism? I mean, I think we really need to figure out what we really believe in and the change that we want to see in the world and be that change. Get out of your comfort zone and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. There you go.
Yes, definitely. I think that when we compare that discomfort we might feel when people make fun of us or don't agree with us, and we just compare that to what the animals have to go through on a daily basis, there is no comparison. So if we can just act a little more selflessly, we can definitely change this world and bring justice for those victims.
I mean, whatever you're going through right now ain't nothing compared to what these animals go through every day. So,
well, I love that you have such a passion for the animal rights side of things, but you also have that passion for the health. And what motivates you to keep inspiring people to take charge of their health?
So basically, I'd say like knowing where I was and how I felt before going vegan, and then being a junk food vegan, and how I was, like I said before, just so lethargic, wanting to fall asleep every day at 2 o'clock, had no energy to play with the dogs, run around with the puppies, go on hikes or go on walks with them. I had no energy to do anything. And I know how I felt then, and I know how I feel now. And being able to streamline that process for someone, take them from point A to point B in a matter of 12 weeks, I guess point A to point Z in a matter of 12 weeks, without having to do it over like the course of what I've been vegan for 6 years now. I mean, that's really motivating in itself. And then also just getting the messages from clients, like, you know, I've lost how many inches off my waist I've lost, how many pounds, and it's only been 2 weeks. And just seeing their excitement is really exciting for me as well. And then just changing people's lives altogether. I mean, I've got clients now that his wife keeps whistling at him every time he walks by, and she keeps wanting to do the rabbit thing all the time. Just getting messages like that, and just knowing that their entire life is changing because of simply eating better and getting in shape is just really rewarding.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I like having people say, hey, at the beginning of this program, I bought jeans that were 2 sizes too small. It's 4 weeks in, and I need to buy new jeans as my end goal because these jeans are too small now. And like, it's just really cool to be able to do that, especially when they're coming from a place like, oh, I've tried everything. You know, I'm only eating like 1,000 calories a day. I'm like, that's your problem. And like, just like teaching them the right way to be healthy, because a lot of the times when people, and I get this from women a lot too, it's like, I'm trying to lose weight, so I cut all my calories, but I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to be jacked. But they don't realize that eating more calories to an extent and lifting heavier weight are 2 of the best ways to lose weight in the first place and tone yourself up. And it's just, people have such a misconception of how to be healthy and how to be fit, and you know what is actually healthy and what's going to work, that it's nice to be able to be kind of like a one-stop shop people can just come to. I can give them an easily laid out program and just change their entire lives.
That's awesome. And I know that things have probably changed a little bit for you since this lockdown. What are you doing to remain positive and stay motivated during all this?
Yeah, so I mean, they've changed a little bit. I'm by nature a pretty introverted person, so I don't mind being home with Amy and the dogs all the time. But yeah, certainly like transitioning my clients from a gym-based program to an at-home program, because none of us can go to a gym anymore. That's kept me really motivated, just because, I mean, I personally have seen a lot of growth in my fitness and my body, particularly from doing at-home workouts, which is crazy because the first day that we had to go on lockdown, I was so angry. I just wanted to be at the gym. I was just so mad at doing at-home workouts. But from that time to now, I love it now. Like, it's amazing doing these at-home workouts. So yeah, that would keep me motivated, I'd say, was just transitioning my clients from, you know, gym workouts to at-home programs with resistance bands and body weight training, and showing them how good of results you can get with just body weight and just resistance bands, because you can get some really good results. I mean, my body's like 190 pounds. It's a lot of weight to lift. So like, it's crazy what you can do with just body weight. And then to stay happy during these times, I'd say the main thing is just be grateful for what you have right now. There's so many people out there that are sick or dying, or have loved ones that are sick and dying. They have brick and mortar stores that, you know, they might have to sell because they can't get any business and they're going to go bankrupt. They might lose their home. Like, if me being at home with my dogs, Amy, TV, internet, Netflix, video games, like whatever I have is the worst that's happened to me right now, I mean, I've got a lot to be grateful for, and I think we all need to practice a little bit more gratitude when it comes to this situation. Yeah, I mean, just be grateful for what you have. We've got a lot. We could be in the 1800s in that lockdown and have absolutely nothing.
Absolutely.
One of those people in the COVID wing right now, or you could be one of those people facing bankruptcy and losing everything that they worked their entire lives for. And I mean, yeah, just be grateful for what you have.
Definitely. Yeah, that's great advice. And for people that are interested in trying your program, where can they find you? Where can they reach out to you?
You can either shoot me an email at fedandshred@gmail.com, or you can just hit me up on Instagram at nickschafer269.
Well, thanks so much for chatting with me today, Nick. I really enjoyed it. And thank you for everything you do for the animals, this world, and people. It's amazing. It's really inspiring.
Yeah, it was awesome chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Who's in the shadows? Who's ready to play? Are we the hunters, or are we the prey?
not civil disobedience. It's civil obedience in the face of such massive injustice.